cheers to episode 168. Could be 69, and if it is, I'm going to feel really bad.
Cheers.
Oh,
wow. Nooner
oh my
from
God. Evan, what are you drinking?
It's the hard iced tea. High Noon hard iced tea, vodka iced tea.
Which flavor?
Peach.
What flavor? Mm.
They're okay.
They are just okay.
I'm going to be honest. I think I want one with bubbles in it just to see what it would taste like.
Oh, I don't like
an
I'm
iced
out
tea
on
flavor.
carbonation. I don't like carbonated drinks anymore.
I think that's what I don't like about them. But I don't know.
I really like the original one and then the lemon one. The flavor ones are a little off.
Oh, yeah. No company can get that right.
Yeah.
There's strawberry in there, right? I think that might be the
raspberry.
Raspberry.
You're saying you like the lemon iced tea version?
Yeah. There's a lemon one, and then there's just original where it's just straight iced tea.
Oh. Does it taste a lot lighter than Twisted Tea? I feel like Twisted Tea is like extreme. This tastes like tea when you're drinking it.
The original High Noon, like it is a punch in the face, like grandmother's straight up iced tea.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
The flavored ones, you taste the vodka a little bit stronger, I'd say.
Interesting.
Which could be your cup of tea.
What?
No pun intended.
Does anyone know what that booze is in Twisted Tea? If it's not, is it vodka in those? Or what do they put in those?
No, I think it's like malt liquor.
Yeah, I think so.
Like a lot of those mixed drinks are. It's like not really considered anything. I think that's why High Noon kind of blew up, because it's actual real vodka.
Yeah, so good.
I think that's what White Claws and Truly's were for a while, and that's why Truly has like a vodka soda now, because before it was just
malt liquor.
Yeah.
I heard over this weekend that it's worth giving the Truly tequila seltzers a try.
Oh.
That's just what I heard.
Is this the margarita ones?
I think they're basically, they did a High Noon knockoff of tequila High Noons, but they did it. I haven't seen what they look like. I couldn't tell you where in the store to look, but I've heard to give them a try.
The Truly margarita pack is very good. I will say that. I'm not a Truly guy, but those are good.
Isn't that like
I want to say there's tequila in them.
There's like a blue, and then there's like an orange. I think I know what you're talking about.
And one other one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm drinking coffee like a psychopath because I did not sleep. I'm addicted to golf. I'm addicted to trying to get better at golf right now. Hand up. So
I'm in the same spot.
I was watching Bryson DeChambeau instructional videos until like midnight last night. Hand up. I need help.
You're a sicko.
Yeah, well, it's also partially, I don't know if you guys are like this. A lot of people aren't. I remember, this is a deep cut. This is a great way to start off the show with guest Cody, by the way, for those that are listening. They know that that's not Alex's voice. Alex is actually draining 3-pointers right now in a men's league somewhere. Mike Breen is yelling, bang. Kill it from downtown. That's what he's doing right now. Actually, he just turned it over, trying to cross half court.
Can't dribble.
Can't dribble with his left hand.
Said he could score on LeBron, though. People forget that.
Right.
Freaking idiot.
Forget that.
Right. So we're very happy to have Cody here. Credit to him for stepping in. Anyways, my deep cut was, I remember someone we went to high school with said once that on Sunday nights, he would go to bed so early just because he wanted to be well rested for the week ahead. I think I'm the opposite. And I was wondered why I struggle with this my whole life. I think it's because I don't want, it's like Sunday scaries, but I don't want the weekend to end. So I try to like end up staying up too late because I'm like, oh, this weekend's fun. Like I don't want to have to think about waking up tomorrow. And then it always bites me in the butt where I get up a little bit groggier on Monday than I should. That happens to me a lot.
I think I do that on long weekends more than I do on a standard weekend because long weekends, you get that extra day. And
it's a free day.
Man, it flew by so fast. Like, it can't be over. I definitely did that last night. So,
all right. I'm not alone.
I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do midnight on like a normal Sunday night. This had to be a Memorial Day special, and the fact that I'm becoming addicted to trying to get better at golf. Which everyone's gone through, I think, at some point in their life.
Addicted to golf. Getting addicted to be better at golf. Totally different.
Yes.
Totally different.
Yep.
I think I've just come to realize that sometimes I think the more I swing a golf club, the worse I get, and that I just need to stick to like my one league night a week and my range session beforehand, and that's where I can work on anything and just flow right into my session, my league night. And however I golf is however I golf. Because I golfed 3 times last week, and Sunday was the worst by far I've swung. And you would think after golfing Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, even with spacer days, I would have played well. Not the case. Not the case. You just start thinking too much.
That definitely happens to me at the range. Like, I think I talked about this a different show, but like that middle part of your bucket of balls, I actively feel like I'm getting worse at the sport I'm trying to get better at. And then you end up hitting a little bit better at the end, like in all golf, where like the last couple shots of your round are usually good, which makes you want to come back and play more, which is a crazy thing that almost everyone goes through.
Yeah, I was actually at the range on Friday, and I was listening to you talk about that, about how in the middle you just hit some of the worst shots you've ever hit. And then I started doing it too, like subconsciously. And I was like, I should probably put on something else because I think Grant is making my golf game worse.
Yeah, that bad thing to be listening to while you're trying to hit golf balls. Not to spoil weekly check-ins, but that made me think of the ending feeling of a golf round on Sunday morning. Marissa and I played a par 3 course, which was fun, but like I couldn't putt to save my life. I only hit 1 green in regulation out of 9 par 3s, so that's not good.
Ooh,
but
not good at all.
Every hole, my 60-degree wedge around the greens was surprisingly a strength when normally that part of my game has been a weakness. So I was giving myself 5 to 7 footers for par almost every hole after my recovery shots. And I just kept missing those putts over and over and just consistently carding 4s, which not great. But if I could play bogey golf in a real 18 hole round, that'd be good for me. But as golf would have it, the last hole hit a terrible no, I actually hit my best shot of the day. That was the green I hit. Had an awful putt to the fringe, past the hole, crazy downslope on the fringe, 12-footer off the green. I bury that for par. Like that's how golf works. Where like you miss easy 7-footers for par, and then you make a fringe putt uphill with a little bit of curve to save par on the last hole. Like, oh, I think I'm good now. So it's a beast. But for us, what we'll get into, we'll do our proper weekly check-ins. We'll talk about the NBA and NHL playoffs, our updated thoughts as things are starting to wrap up here. Cody and I's Wolves are not looking so hot, but it's not over yet. There's still a little bit of faith. I think Evan's an Oilers fan, so maybe we can check in on him. Those are the gifts that he sends in the chat, so I assume he's an Oilers fan. A little bit of Lions talk. There's been some, I think they had OTAs, so there was some classic beat writer tweets, some press conferences, just a couple tweets that caught my eye that we can talk about. Some players, maybe some buzz for the season. We can get Cody's thoughts on their season ahead too, since we recently did the schedule show. Tigers, we got 2 of the biggest Spencer Torkelson fans in the country on this show tonight. They had a rough month of May as a team, but we can look ahead to June. It's not over yet. I was looking at their schedule today. No spoilers, but there's some winnable series coming up. They're still in the wild card hunt. And then another team that's been disappointing for years now, the Pistons, hire a new president. Everybody's waiting for him to make a move here. What's he going to do? Hiring, firing, and then draft and free agency around the corner. And lastly, this could be fun. I might bump the Pistons out if we're running long because I want to do this. I saw a crazy graphic from CBS Sports ranking the quarterbacks in the Big Ten for the coming year. I don't know if you guys saw that on your algorithms.
Did they have Orgy like second to last?
No, they had him surprisingly high.
Oh, okay.
Like higher than I would think.
I saw one with Childs at like 10 or 11, and Orgy was down there too. I had to like look away before fan brain took over. and just ruin my day.
Yeah, and to be honest, I haven't like dove into the stats of because there's a lot of new QBs in the Big Ten, but I think it's good for the boys to sit down and just like gut reactions who are top quarterbacks in the Big Ten without getting too in the weeds of stats. Just pure eye test. Who would you want on your team? So we can get into that because that's good off-season May 28th talk when not much is going on for our other team. So without further ado, Cody is Alex. So Cody, any updates that you have for the show tonight? I'm dubbing this is potentially the summer of Cody. There's a lot of life things happening in my life coming up that revolve around Cody. I'm very excited about it.
Feels good, as it should. Everybody's life should revolve around me. Yeah, so speaking of that, my fiance was on her bachelorette party this weekend in Nashville. So I was solo home alone, which is nice. I probably more than most, I really enjoy being alone. I don't know what it is. I just kind of always have been. So Friday night, I actually subbed in a golf league. Got Taco Bell for dinner. That was great.
Holy shit, this is Alex. You're basically just described Alex.
Yep.
I guess this is a prank.
I'm cosplaying as Alex.
Subbed
in a par 3 course, actually, which was sneaky difficult, but I think it's nice. It's a useful way to golf if you're trying to practice. That was my first time at a par 3 course. I guess the greens were ridiculously small. Like I guess I wasn't ready for that. I don't know if that's how most par 3s are. And the problem with that is you have to hit a lot of short chips, you don't have a lot of green to work with to run on, which is probably my worst chips, like pulling out a 60 degree. Putting was good. I think off the tee, I was pretty good. The other problem is that there's a lot of like, you would go from a 70-yard par 3 to like 180. So you're hitting a lot of like weird shots back and forth. And it was super dry out there. So even if you hit the green, like it was bouncing off because it's so small. Play bogey golf though, so not too bad. Can't be mad at myself. Saturday, I started the Planet of the Apes movies. I'd never seen those, and I kind of want to see the new one in theaters because it looks pretty good. It's getting good reviews. Pretty solid. First one's probably a 7 for me, 7 out of 10. Also saw Challengers. Decided to crank some movies off my movie list since Evan won't. I will.
Challengers.
That's the new Zendaya movie, the tennis movie.
Oh yeah, where it's got that provocative scene of her in the bed with those two boys.
Oh yeah, the guys kiss, and it was
spoilers.
Do they actually? Oh wow!
Yeah,
what a plot twist!
It kind of references that in the trailer a little bit. I'll say it's probably not a casual moviegoer. Like, right, you might enjoy it because of the tennis aspect of it, but it's more of a film nerd type movie. Like, I really enjoyed it. Other people I've talked to were like, yeah, it stunk. I thought it was really cool. Pretty solid movie. Zendaya
Her injury in the trailer looks gruesome. It looks like they really did a good job selling that injury.
Yeah, they zoom in on the knee and it plays the noise. I know it's fake, but yikes! And she's
which is big for me.
Yelling.
I don't think I've shared this on this show, but one of my biggest gripes with Friday Night Lights, the TV show, is the injury that ended up hurting the star player in the beginning. It was super fake. Like, you would not get hurt like he did from the hit in the movie, and it kind of pissed me off the entire first season, and I didn't make it farther than that.
Yeah, and it's pretty realistic for tennis, I'd say, because you're doing a lot of like jump stop type movements and sliding on the court, and she kind of outstretches her knee, and it just snaps. So yeah, pretty gruesome, I'd say, more gruesome than I expected, but solid movie. Then I went to Texas Roadhouse with my parents, weekend of Cody.
Hell yeah.
Love Texas Roadhouse, great establishment. And then went golfing Sunday morning with my dad. I go back and forth. Last time I got a steak there, I usually get a sirloin or the ribeye. But sneaky good option there, and a lot of people might hate this, is their chicken critters, their chicken tenders. They're really good there.
I love that they call them critters.
Yeah, I got those. They're delicious. Then Sunday morning, went golfing at Raisin with my father. And I got a tee time for 7:50 because it's Memorial Day weekend. I'm trying to get out early because I don't really like long rounds. You can golf. Holiday weekend. There can be some non-golfers out there who can take sneaky.
Oh yeah.
Jean shorts.
Yeah, I went out and I usually wake up at like around 6:30ish or so, 6 o'clock. But 7:50 is just way too early for me to golf. I think I don't know what it is. My body just wasn't awake because I played some really bad golf until I got to 7, the par threes. Went par, missed a par putt on 9, bogey. Only played 9 holes, so it took me 6 holes to wake up. I was just like topping balls, swinging on my shoes. I hit like 4 into the woods. I hadn't lost a ball in a month on League, and I just went out there and raised and ate me alive.
But do that to you.
Clubhouse is gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
GPS, the new GPSs are pretty cool. I didn't really fully know how to work it. I still kind of relied on 18 birdies, even though it was there. But yeah, other than that, didn't do anything on Memorial Day because it was super kind of cold outside. So,
Cody, with 18 birdies, as someone who uses that as well, it kind of, I don't know what to do because you go to these courses, I'm trusting 18 birdies over their yardage sometimes. Like when in the par 3 course, the numbers were like 7 yards off. I just assume like those courses move around their tee boxes a lot and they don't change out those signs they've had for 20 years. So do you go by just the GPS? Because I feel like that's going to be more accurate.
Yeah, I trust 18 birdies more because I also think it takes into elevation and how shots play a little bit more. I think if you have the Pro too, it factors in like wind speed. So I don't really feel like paying for that, but because I'm not that good a golfer to where the wind speed's really going to affect me. If it does, so be it. But yeah, I'd rather trust that than to see how it's playing on a GPS as opposed to a range sign or the signs out on the course. Last thing, whiskey review. I tried Chris Stapleton's whiskey Traveler. I got it at Total Wine. Pretty solid. I'm not like an elite whiskey guy to where like I know super good whiskey versus super bad. I'm probably know more about bourbon, but very smooth. I mixed it with Coke Zero Vanilla because I thought that'd be a fun little mixy. Enjoyed myself. That was.
I didn't know they had Coke Zero Vanilla. I might have to look into that.
Oh yeah, they have it at Meyer. So I thought it was a really good whiskey. I could honestly probably drink it straight, which I can't.
Be careful
say
there,
about
Cody.
A lot of whiskeys.
It's getting close to whiskey with how hot it is. That makes me nervous.
Yeah.
Well, some people drink it in the summer, but I start to lose my taste for it until we get to like 55 degrees in the fall.
I can only really drink it when I'm like sitting down at night after dinner or something, like on a weekend. That's not like a weekday activity for me, I'd say, or if like sporting events on, sit down, have a glass,
Yeah. I think we should recreate our Miami photo and get espresso martinis in Chicago. Now that I'm thinking about drinking booze, I think we should do that. Yeah,
it's a must.
A wild combo that we did like Miami Vices and then like walked 2 bars over and got espresso martinis.
We didn't even walk right over. We went and sat on the beach for a little bit and like hung out on the beach, and then we walked.
We did do that.
Yeah,
we
tried
all kind
going.
of sloshed.
Remember, we tried going to the elbow room.
So we were taking our drinks to go onto the beach, and half of us broke our styrofoam cups on the beach while we were trying to drink them.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, we tried to go to the elbow room, but a lot of them weren't 21, so half of us got in and half.
Yeah, and they were like $100 per dude that's underage. You're like, no, we don't want to go to this historical bar that much. Evan, any updates from you?
Baseball all weekend long. Last time we covered was what, last week? Last Monday, I think it was.
You were like wrapping up baseball, I feel like.
Yeah, I had
high school.
I had a game on Tuesday. Finished the season 19-6-1. Had one time in there because of rules or whatnot. Nice. And then prepped for hosting our own tournament here in town. So Thursday night we kicked it off. Not Thursday night, Friday night kicked it off, had our first game. Then played Saturday, worked the tournament all day. I was in charge of the high school field. or at least my age group was. So I was there all day Saturday, all day there Sunday, into the championship game, undefeated, had a 3-2 lead, and then the storm comes blowing through Southeast Michigan. Canceled, suspended the championship game because the team that we're facing in the championship's a local. We play them all the time. I know the head coach, so to be determined if we're the champions of our own tournament. But it was a good weekend. It was dry. Big thumbs down to the city of Tecumseh, though. They're fixing a water tower, and so they tell people not to water or use their sprinkler system in town. And of course, it was just so dry at the high school field, Grant. It looked bad. I mean, it has been a wet baseball season. Like, it probably rained 2 days a week, and like never had to worry about anything drying out. And then 1 week of nothing but dry air and sun dried the entire thing out. Can't water it. Can't turn the water on until June 1st. So the outfield was a little crisp. Like in championship game before the rain started, one of my kids hit a base hit. Well, that wasn't a base hit. Went through the shortstop's legs. Hard hit ball. I mean, I don't blame him. Hard hit ball went through the shortstop's legs. It rolled all the way to right in front of the warning track in the outfield.
That's good stuff. And the infield, right? The infield's gonna not stop.
The infield's a little couple bad hops I've witnessed. It was like we were batting actually, and we hit one at the first baseman, and he was like down on a knee, like about to field it, and just came up straight up at his face, and he like blocked it with his hand, like at the last second, like barely got a hand on it. But did that, and then I saw Cody at our local watering hole at Muck's on Friday night. Great time with a bunch of friends. It hit me and realized, like, so our younger friends, Grant, how we used to have like our age group, and then they would show up as the youngers. Now it's me and Cody, and from the podcast, Evan, we're the older ones, and then we got outnumbered by all of their friends.
Yeah.
But it got weird, like Cody said, it got weird Friday night.
A little strange. I do have a new rule, I think, for myself, given my age, is that you can't stay at a bar past midnight because
nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Nothing good happens after midnight.
Nothing good happens after midnight when you get to our age, especially with that crew in there. But yeah, overall, it's good seeing Connor. Shout out Mostly Michigan Sports.
Podcast feed to take over our number one.
Ryan Corvick, Cheese. It was good to see her. Good to see everybody home. Who knows how many more opportunities we're gonna have with everybody home? All of them are growing up. All of our
There's
children.
some dirty rumors about our friends. They're not going to be sticking around much longer. Some dirty rumors. Monday, I went to the town parade, Memorial Day parade, and then I basically just kind of hung out, drank, had my parents' dinner for Memorial Day. That was about it.
You haven't missed a Memorial Day parade in like 20 years, have you?
I've been to a lot of them. There was like a 2-year stretch where I skipped them, but I was so tired on Sunday. Downpoured rain, and I got home. I showered. Was supposed to go out, hang out with like some of the coaches and families, and I fell asleep on my couch at like 8 o'clock. I think I got 12 hours of sleep Sunday into Monday. My body woke me up at 7:30 and was like, "You can't sleep any longer. Get up and do something." I made breakfast. I was sitting around, and I was like, "It's 9 o'clock. What do I do?" So I texted my parents. I was like, "Hey, you going to the parade today?" And they said yes. So I was like, "I'll see you there."
That answered my question. I was going to say, did you go to the parade by yourself or did you go with your family?
No. I went with my parents. I was like 50-50 if my parents were going to go. I thought 100% my grandparents were going to go, and I wanted to see them and talk to them more because they showed up to some of my games this weekend, but they didn't show up to the parade, so it was just me, Ryan, and Michelle.
Hell yeah.
Grant, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. A lot of golf that I already alluded to. Let me try to fly through. Friday, saw one of Marissa's good friends and mine now, Bailey, and her boyfriend Noah. Both very smart people becoming doctors. So talking to them about that. We met at Condado Tacos in Troy. Condado, very good. Like phenomenally good. Spicy margarita and tacos. You can kind of build your own. It's like Barrio in East Lansing, but like just as good as that, I would say.
I'm pretty sure. It's a fun wrinkle about Condado and Barrio. I'm pretty sure they were like two friends or two family members had a taco restaurant together, and they had like a falling out and they split off. I think that.
Oh wow! Story. I'm really invested in that. If that's true, yeah,
they
are like the same. They're the same thing.
Yeah. So might have to do some more research on that.
But so Barrio, a little bit cooler, I would say, because they give you that piece of paper to fill out like you're playing Keno. I love that. Like when you're filling. Yes, like Bagger Daves, dude. Yeah. I would kill for Bagger Daves. We should see if there's one in Chicago. I don't know if there are, but we should like look that up. They have the train that goes around the top of the restaurant. Bagger Daves is a time. I love that restaurant. Let's see. Saturday, went to the range at 9 a.m. I had a miserable experience. This is what happened. I know you're shaking your head, Evan. Thursday after work, I went to the range. Not to bore people, but I changed my swing completely. That if you listened last time, you saw it. So now I need to like go on the TrackMans at Carl's Golf, and I want to know what my distances are on my clubs with these shots. They're not that much different than what previous, but now that I hit more consistent, I want to actually get a feel. And they have this system where you download an app, you make a TrackMan account, and you just hit 6 shots in a row. You can delete if you don't want to include one if you shank one, and then it compiles them and spits out your average. So I was doing that with all my clubs. I wanted to do that Thursday. I went Thursday after work. I've never seen like a more chaotic, just busy scene than Carl's Golfland the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend. I thought like I've gone on the weekend at busy times and it's been packed. And I was like, after work, it's like 5:30. It's not going to be that bad, right? Like people are starting to go up north. They're not like going to go hit golf balls on the range at Carl's on Thursday when it's nice out. Couldn't be more wrong. I could not get a bay on either side, grass or turf, to save my life. Thankfully, I have a motto I live by at ranges, especially Carl's, because it's so busy. When I walk in, I do not buy my balls first. I go put my bag down at a bay and then go buy my balls. But people were just buying buckets of balls, rookie move, walking in. And so they're just holding them, waiting for like 35, 45 minutes for a bay to open up. And I was like, nope, no shot. So bad side, I was annoyed because I didn't get to test my clubs. Good side, I didn't have to pay any money because I just went to the short game range and just hit some already existing range balls around with my 60 degree and then went and putt a little bit. So that didn't go well. So I was like, you know what? It opens at 9 a.m. I'm getting there at 9 a.m. It was very peaceful. There's just a couple old men and me. And Marissa came for that one too, because we were going to play the next day. She's like, all right, I'll go. Big mistake by her. I don't think she realized how long it was going to take me to hit 6 consistent shots in a row with each club to get my distances. So brutal sitting there. There was an old man, I think at one point was like, I bet you regret your decision coming here to her, because she could tell like, it had been so long. And I was like, yeah, we're going to leave soon. Did that. And then was Saturday the day? I think that was my active day. No, that was Sunday.
Your Saturday was exhausting because you went to the range in the morning and then you also ran, didn't you?
That might have been my Sunday. I think that was Sunday. No, it was Saturday. You're right. Went to the range.
Everything all in one day.
Yep. Went to the range. Got some sort of breakfast. I'm blanking on what we did. We played tennis. That was fine. And then ran. The backstory behind running. There's 2 rules that Marissa and I have implemented recently for like our evenings to make them better, I would say. One is just when we eat dinner, try not to use our phones, which is pretty easy. Well, actually, it's kind of hard with our society. Is like just put your phone down, eat dinner, catch up. And then this is more for me. No snacks after 8:45 p.m. because I love to eat like right before bed. I love, if you have any snacks, anything like whatever concoction. If I stay up 10:30, I get really hungry. So, and the punishment is if you eat after 8:45 on the weekday, so like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, weekends don't count. You owe 1 mile because that's like what Marissa hates the most is running. So I have broke this rule 5 times and they've built up. And I was just like, I'm just going to go run 5 miles, which was a bad idea to do all at once. She even said like, are you sure you don't want to do like 2, then like 3 another time? And I was like, no, I really don't. I don't like running either. I'm just going to do 5. I can do it. It was a terrible idea. What I ever sent you guys was accurate. Like 1.8 miles in, I just wanted to die. I did not want to be out there.
Did you do it around the apartment complex?
So there's a really nice neighborhood, it's like a half mile down the road. If we walk, we go down the sidewalk, and then there's we're talking, it's insane. I should take videos next time if I run. I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. If I'm not doing 5 miles, it's beautiful. It's called like Butler Ridge. There's like multi-million-dollar houses in this neighborhood. It's insane, and they're like all kind of similar. So I ran around their neighborhood, and it was kind of a nice distraction because you're just staring at houses that are just make your jaw drop. I'm like, oh my God. People like the rich people are waving at you, like me, just absolute poser, like, oh, hey, how's it going? I definitely live here, not over at the apartment complex down the road. So I did that and then got under an hour, which is huge. The tricky part was there were so many hills up and down. So I had to time out my last mile to be mainly downhill so I could get through to under an hour. So that's a little behind the scenes of that. And then we went to her cousin's house. It's always fun. They have 2 kids, one like 11 years old and one like 8 or 9. So they have an awesome backyard, like trampoline, baseball stuff. They have a little golf set up. That's what I was saying, the chipping competition. But that was just tough for me. After doing all that, I was ready to sit down and just drink some high noons. That turned into like a putting chipping competition around the yard. Volleyball in the yard. I was like, I am absolutely gassed. So I was very sore this whole weekend. Was using the Theragun a lot, rolling out my back. Sunday, par 3. Met family for dinner in Gibraltar, Michigan, which is the halfway point, come to find out, between Sylvania and Rochester. I used a website called Halfway Point, which is I got made fun of for doing, but I was like, well, I wonder what's halfway between us. And it was basically airport, Carlton area. Had dinner there. And then on Monday, we met Marissa's parents. They were flying back from Virginia to see Katie and Matt. And they stopped at GTW. So then we had lunch with them. And on the way home, this is the only interesting thing. The way we went to Farmington Hills. I'd never really been to Orchard Lake, like that area. Obviously, I think growing up in high school sports, you always hear about Orchard Lake. You see their red football field, how they're really good. I think Trey McKinney, doesn't he play there? The kid that's coming up in 2025. I was like, let's drive through Orchard Lake, like see what's over there. Crazy houses on the lake. You drive through the school. The high school is like on the lake. I did not realize it was like that close to Orchard Lake, which is, I guess, a stupid thought. It's just when you grow up in Tecumseh, Michigan, with not that much water besides the Irish Hills, you don't think that a high school would be on a body of water. So yeah, I was like, this is a different way of life that I never knew about, that these rich people live in this area of Michigan. So that was pretty eye-opening. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Their football field looks hideous. The red turf is disgusting from the road.
Hot take.
It is gross. But yeah, that was pretty much my weekend. Memorial Day.
You were packed busy. Holy cow.
Now comes the hard part of actually playing meaningful rounds of golf. And the range stuff is fun, but that's just like child's play. I need to actually test myself on a course with a driver in my hand, which has been my next project.
Great. Do you think you would do better if you had to play like on a league as a sub? Like your stroke matters, your count, everything matters. Would you like focus better, or do you think just like casual play you would play better right now?
I think casual. If it counts for anything, I'm just a mess when it comes to putting. Like if I'm not confident in something, it's putting. I just get so nervous on the green, like because everyone's watching. I think because everyone's watching your shot. That just and putting seems so easy that it's like when you mess it up, it's like everyone just the judgment you get when you just mess up butt.
The only thing about league and stroke play though is like I typically hit like half a small bucket when I get there just to kind of get loose, because on Wednesdays I go to the office, so I've been in the car all day. And like last Wednesday I went and I just could not hit my driver. It didn't feel comfortable at all. So when I started playing and strokes actually mattered, I was like, you know what, I'm just not hitting it, because I can hit my 5-wood pretty well. I can hit my hybrid pretty well. So I was just smart off the tee box, and I shot my best round of the year on Wednesday for league, which had I probably hit my driver, which is my most inconsistent club, I probably would have fallen apart. So that's the only thing of like when strokes actually matter. Like if I was just out there casually, I'm like, yeah, I paid like $30-$40 for a greens fee. Like I'm probably like I'm gonna hit my driver. It's fun to hit. Not as sexy to hit like a 7-iron off the tee box, but it
yeah. Yeah, believe me, that's right. I'm trying to figure out how to hit a driver consistently right now. That's pretty much the main, like, anything from 60-degree like ball striking through 8-iron, I feel super comfortable with. I think if I did play like an intense match, like I don't think I would crumble over those shots. But anything that's like putting right now or driver, I would crumble because I just don't have enough consistency with it. Not to, hopefully he doesn't listen because we don't need his ego higher. Took some videos of my swing, sent it to Alex. He used to tell me about it, and then I was like, "Well, can you send me one of you so I can like do a side by side?" He sent me one of him on a range. I don't know when it was, but he was working on these little 5-yard like baby cut shots. His swing was incredible. That kid has got to be absolutely dialed in down there in Texas with the amount of golf he's been playing. I was like, this swing looks sick. So don't tell him I said that. No one that listens, tell him that I said his swing looks awesome, but boy, did it look cool.
Yeah, I used to send him videos, and then now this year I just can't do it because it has to be like a feel thing for me. And I know the more he tells me, I'm going to be thinking about it when I'm up there, and it's just going to make me even worse. So,
all right. Speaking of not our sports anymore, but actual sports, let's do the NBA. We have the Celtics in the finals, and we have Timberwolves Mavericks going on right now. Look at the Wolves are up by 3 in the second, but it's going to be the Mavericks unless historical comeback happens. What are your guys' thoughts? Cody, you're kind of the resident NBA guy of the friend group, even going back to the Shoots and Tour days. You were one of the first ever NBA guests on there. I think we were talking about I remember the clip was Russell Westbrook a superstar debate. Crazy how time flies. But your thoughts on this NBA Finals matchup? Does it intrigue you, or is there not enough juice in this Finals for you?
I think there's a ton of juice. I think it's kind of everything you're looking for, even though it's probably not the sexiest matchup on paper. I think everybody wanted Celtics Nuggets rematch, but I don't know if that would have played out well again on paper. I think Celtics Mavs, there's so much going on there between like the Kyrie bad blood. I mean, the Mavericks haven't won yet, and I'm not going to crown them, but it certainly feels like it's heading that way. It's a 3-point game right now, but I've seen Luka in the finals. Like, you never know what you're going to get out of a player like him. Outside of that, like, the Mavericks are a lot of role players, and it feels like the Celtics are the more – it just feels like if the Celtics aren't going to win this year, like, when are they going to win, and what would be the course of action for the Celtics? I know I'm not saying you have to blow it up, but if they can't beat a Mavericks team this year, what's it going to take? And it's super interesting, like the storylines now, especially with Jaylen Brown winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, is like, I'm starting to wonder, are we sure Jason Tatum's better than Jaylen Brown? I mean, on paper, I want to say yes, but
come on. I'm a huge Jason Tatum fan. Huge Jason Tatum fan.
Really?
I will die on his grave.
I don't know if I knew that about you, Evan.
He's just in a weird
I will die on his grave.
But I'm a huge Drew Holiday fan, so I think that's going to be awesome to see him on Kyrie. I think the Kristaps stuff is going to be really interesting, given he played for the Mavericks.
Spicy. I didn't even think about that, Cody.
If he could potentially get an NBA championship with the Celtics, I think would be another like kick in the balls for Knicks fans, given they booed him when they drafted him, and the bad blood between Knicks and Celtics. Xavier Tillman could get a ring. That's huge for us.
Huge.
So yeah, I mean, on paper, like, I want to say like the Celtics would roll them, but you legitimately don't know with Luka. And I think Luka's kind of everything we started building Ant up to be this year, but I think it's just a little too early for Ant, and I don't know if Ant will ever be the type of player Luka is. And I think it's just gonna be fun. Luka's probably second best player in the NBA right now, behind Jokic. So I mean, being able to see him on that stage is gonna be awesome, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Luka part. Evan, you mentioned Tatum. I know you're not the most diehard NBA guy you've said, but I think you always have like really passionate dislike or like of players. Is there anyone you're rooting on their downfall in this matchup coming up, or anyone? I guess Tatum, you want him to win, but thoughts on this?
He's in the Boston media, so he gets a lot of hate. I get it. He's faltered under some playoff runs and whatnot. I still think he's extremely talented, and he's the best player, one of the best players in the Eastern Conference. I think he just gets a lot of hate because he doesn't have a championship. And a lot of NBA players, that's what they tend to say, is like, you're not good until you win an NBA championship. I just still think he's just extremely talented, and I just like the guy. not really out there. He's kind of soft spoken. He's not like all the glitz and glamour. I know he gets some media attention, but he doesn't get a lot of media attention from some of the East players. Like the whole bias towards some of the Knicks is disgusting. When the Nets were going through their big three or whatnot, was disgusting and annoying to have. While he's constantly or consistently putting his team in at least the Eastern Conference semifinals every single year.
Yeah.
It is like, Cody, you did touch on it. It was kind of funny. I was talking with my brother, actually. He was like, if Boston doesn't win it, do they just keep on like running it back with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and shuffle everybody else around them, thinking that they're not the problem? They think it's somebody else's problem, which I hope they do win the championship so they can get that monkey off their back. And then, like, okay, if Jaylen Brown wants to move on and get a super max contract from somewhere else, then he can. And you don't have that burden of, oh, hey, you never won here.
It's funny because we would like kill for that. We would kill to be the Celtics.
Yes.
Yeah.
6 years.
We were that in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
The Pistons were that. Made 4 consecutive Eastern Conference Finals. Fired Flip Saunders, and everything went straight downhill after that.
Yeah.
Because the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
No. Is it a championship for Butler if the Celtics win?
Do they raise a banner in Hinkle for Brad Stevens?
Dude, you want to talk about a guy I think about that sometimes, like not deeply, but if you're ever listening about the Celtics, like you almost forget he's pulling the strings as the GM. Like what a weird career he went through where he was like the Messiah coach and then like wasn't a bad coach by any means, but it didn't like click amazingly, I guess. And then he's just like, I'll just be the front office guy. It's like, what a weird. Maybe the workload's easier. I don't know, but like he could definitely like resurrect any program if he went to them and like was their actual X's and O's coach tomorrow if he wanted to. It's just weird.
That was like the best GM transition I feel like of all time too, between Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens and just like how they've continued to like run. That's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Imagine, and we're stuck with Troy Weaver. We'll get later, but.
On the series itself, I think I've said this in the past. I know it makes Pistons fans roll their eyes, but you have to understand we haven't been competitive, so it's hard to have rivalries when you're so terrible. Our dads would not like it, but I've always kind of liked this Boston core that they have, just because, I mean, like we're never competitive against them. They're, like you said, I think, Evan, the soft-spoken, like Jaylen Brown's quiet. He catches a lot of shit. But they're not like in your face, and I like how they almost remind me a little bit more of the 04 Pistons, where it's like they do have a star, obviously. Like Tatum is at higher than like Billups or Rip ever were as like an individual player, but like they still are a team more than like one guy like Luka. So I like that. I like Brad Stevens. Luka's so annoying, and I can get that, but God, he is so fun to watch. I texted my dad after he hit that game winner, and I was like, this is what you felt like watching Larry Bird play. Like, I'm sure of it. Like, this dude is like slow. He's white. He's like, why would this guy be good? He moves at his own pace, and he just drains shots. And then I was like watching. He was like one of those shots where I was like, God, this guy's so good. I went to YouTube and looked at his like top 20 plays of all time, and like his passing. You forget all the crazy stuff he's already done in the NBA. And I was like, God, we're just lucky to be able to watch him play hoops on this stage too, as annoying as he is with the refs. And then the only other thing was too, we talk about everyone needing rings, but the thing about this, if Mavericks win, which they should, the conference finals, Luka's 25 still, which is nuts to me. And Tatum's 26. So, like, yeah, we'd like these guys to win a ring, but one of them's going to win a ring. And then they're still going to be like 5 more years in their peak, especially for Luka. I mean, he doesn't rely on his athleticism really at all. As long as he just stays in remote weight shape, he should be fine. But yeah, I mean, they are going to be around for a long time. So it's very exciting.
I think it could be a major loss for a lot of kids going to like colleges for basketball, hoping to go to the NBA and be like a high draft pick if Luka is to win. Because just think like all of the star players in the NBA now would be foreign guys. And it feels like for the longest time, the NBA was trying to go that way. But prior to like guys like Jokic and Luka and now Wembanyama. There's been a lot of hits and misses. Obviously Giannis too, but I mean, if you look at mock drafts right now, like pretty much everybody besides Dillingham and Reed Shepherd are foreign players that we know nothing about. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be really awesome if Luka were to win, but I think I'd rather see the Celtics get it because I kind of hate that storyline that super likable guys like Tatum and Jaylen Brown can't get it done, even though they're extremely talented basketball players. But if Tatum is to win, I guess I'm just curious how the Celtics manage. I mean, Tatum's obviously going to have to get paid. Jaylen Brown's already the highest paid player in the league. And then Derek White, who's probably the third most important player on that team.
It's crazy to think.
Due for a contract this offseason too. So I just don't know how you pay that entire core. But I think that'll be a fun storyline too.
Yeah. I'm really excited about it. I think like Ant versus Tatum and them, that would have been great for like the Team USA storyline because it's just two American dudes battling it out. But they're both so likable, those two. I think it adds a little bit of drama with the hatred that people will have for the Mavs because he's won some people back over this year, but he's always polarizing. I was thinking back to 2022 when it was Celtics Warriors, which still feels like a fever dream. The Warriors core like resurrected themselves and won that title. Shout out to Steph going nuts, but like you remember the Draymond chants in the Garden, like it's gonna be like that times 5 for Kyrie because they just absolutely hate his guts for how he like wanted to be out of there, stomped on Lucky the Leprechaun and the ball things. Like it's gonna be nasty there, which is awesome for sports fans because there's like real animosity there between a fan base and a player, and people are gonna hate Luka throughout the series just because he whines a lot. But again, so good. So I think it's going to be a pretty good finals. I'm actually looking forward to it. And then NHL side, we still got some work to do. Connor and I are in a battle with his whale play of the Dallas Stars. Going against, I was just riding Dave Portnoy's coattails with that Oilers bet. Because if you see a guy win like 5 futures in a row, you're like, I think I'll just put $10 on the future that he's doing to try to win like 100. So I don't know. Any puck updates, Evan, from what you've seen? I guess the Rangers look pretty good too on the other side.
Rangers do look good. I'm just obsessed with Connor McDavid because it's hockey, so it's one of the least important major sports. I get that. He plays in the Western Conference. He plays in Canada. He plays in like a Western time zone. So he doesn't get the publicity that he deserves. I'm sure if you were a Six and Pucks guy, I'm sure you're probably sick of listening to him. But he is our generational talent. I think I've said on this podcast before, but he is the number one player that we grew up watching. We'll ever grow up watching. There's not many people that are going to come close to him, his talent-wise and his speed and athleticism on the hockey. He deserves to be on the national stage into the Stanley Cup final. It's like Mike Trout never getting to the World Series. It's just it's like it's a shame that we can't get him there or his team can't get him, GM, head coach, whatever it is. So that's why I'm diehard all in on the Oilers. It sucks because Kenny Holland's building this team. So it's going to come crashing down in their faces pretty soon. But I am here for 97 and Connor McDavid because he is the best player in the NHL.
Hell yeah.
Tough one last night. I was fully invested in watching that entire game. It was a tough one to swallow.
Yeah, they blew it. Blew it late. But it sets up a must-win next game, and then we go from there. So really, I'm just Oilers, but I don't love it because from what I've seen from the playoff, the Stars, there's this Wyatt Johnston. Is that his name? I whenever I tune in, he's just always scoring goals. That kid, he's just always scoring goals for the Dallas Stars.
There's something about those green Stars jerseys. I just love those. I love those jerseys. I would love one of those, but even though I have no connection to the Stars at all, not even really that big of a puck guy, but.
Yeah, I did see.
Whoever wins that series is winning the cup, though, as well as the Rangers playing. But the West has been such a gauntlet.
Yeah,
I do think the Panthers are running out of steam. They play a different style than all the other teams. They're more of a beat your ass and bruise you kind of physical team instead of all the other 3 teams are kind of more of a speed and offense. Where the Panthers are kind of like we're just going to bully you into crumbling in front of our faces.
Shesterkin's like the hottest goalie in the NHL right
now. And it's like baseball. You get a hot pitcher, you get a hot hitter, and you ride it. Hockey, there's nothing that can compare to like a hot goalie. Like if you have the goalie standing on his head all playoffs, you can win a Stanley Cup when your talent is not even close.
Wasn't it?
Which is weird.
Ben Bishop on the Lightning when they won back-to-back.
I think so. It was Vasilevsky.
Then you had the Red Wings were in the playoffs. We played the Lightning first round.
Yep, our last playoff win, lost 3-1.
Bishop just shut us down. So.
Yeah, I think so.
The Bruins had what's his name when they won a cup?
Thomas.
Yes,
that's a deep cut.
Jonathan Quick won 2 championships with. I know he had a stretch for 5 years where he was like the best goalie, but
the Binnington from St. Louis was disgusting when they won because they were like the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Here's another before we move on to the next. Oh, this wasn't the graphic I was thinking of, but there was a hockey publication, McKean's Hockey, who's like, I don't know, they're an outlet of hockey prospects, kind of. They gave the Red Wings the number 1 prospect pool in the NHL, so that has to make us feel pretty good. Our Grand Rapids.
That's freaking ridiculous. That's just.
Is that good?
I mean, so here's the Red Wing fans that are pissed off. Like, we'll never make it to the playoffs. We're never going to Stanley Cup. It's been year 7 of the rebuild. Where has it gotten us? And then there's those same fans are going to sit there and just brag about how good our farm system is. I was like, you don't have a good farm system if you're just buying free agents and trying to win like a Stanley Cup premature, like when you're like not on track to.
This was the list. It was nice. I like this visual. I was like, I like to see where everyone's at in the system, who we're ranking high. I'm very excited about the Michigan State goalie. Go green for that. I want him to be the guy that he's sick for you guys.
The thing is, number 5, Sebastian Costa also is a goal, and he's played actually really well with the Griffins into their playoff run. He flew up our farm system, and he like got to the Griffins and turned into like the starting goalie there for a while. But I would say those top 3 guys for us right now have a very good chance to make the roster next year. Edvinsson should be on the roster, like hands down. He should be on the roster. He came up, bounced back and forth a little bit. Casper's a little bit more offensive skilled, and then Danielson. I would be shocked if they're not on there. If they're not up with the Red Wings next year.
Last year.
Yes.
The years are.
He was a ginger kid. I remember what he looked like.
Or did we take Danielson and Casper? Didn't we get 2 kids last year?
There was a year that we got 2. Well, there's a year that we got 2, and one of them was Kosa and somebody. It might have been Kosa and Casper that we got them.
Got it. Okay. All right.
I like the Carter Mazer kid too. I was following along Grand Rapids Griffins Twitter for their cup run. They didn't make it, but I was like just seeing what was going on there. So we should say this in May. I'm sure, Evan, you will educate this next year. But depending on what Stevie does this offseason, like we might lose some veterans. If we call up the young kids, we might take a step back in the win-loss column that people are just going to have to accept because we've shown incremental growth. But if at some point you got to let the kids play, we might lose a couple more games. And people are going to freak out when that happens. I know they're going to. I know how sports fans work.
I agree with you. Like, I don't think all the veterans that we had last year should come back. There's a couple of them that I would keep around that I think were monumental. I won't say monumental, but just key figures on the ice and played well. But I'm with you, Grant. I think young talent can't be wrong, and you are going to have like some learning spots. They are going to get a lull in point production, stuff like that. They're not going to perform on a more consistent basis. But I mean, you see it when the young kids are flying around and they get hot on hot streaks and point streaks, then you really go off and you take off. And you saw that with Lucas Raymond down the stretch, where he led our team in points this year. So it's not going to hurt when you have more younger talent around Larkin, more speed on the ice.
Kind of like what the Rangers have done too. Like I know last year they were super young and they kind of overperformed and they weren't ready. And now look at them; they're kind of
number 1 team in the East, and now they're about to go to the Stanley Cup.
I don't hate it.
Yeah. Shifting over to football, got to talk about the Lions are the moneymaker in the world and in our town. They had rookie minicamps already been done. didn't hear a ton out of that just because I feel like when you have defensive prospects, they're not going to get as much buzz as like an offensive quarterback would get. So, but then we got into OTAs, so you start getting people arriving. You get those first clips, and I know off-season sound bites are really scary. They're like a minefield for fans. You don't want to get your hopes up too much, but I feel like in the last few years with how Brad's drafted, and I feel like with how our media covers the team, you do get a sense of like no BS. These people are impressing you. What came to mind was last year, like we kind of knew from reports that Laporta like looked awesome. You heard Goff continually talk about it. The reporters were like, yeah, he's like the best receiver some of the days. And then Branch, I remember Brian Branch was just getting gassed up last year in camp. Like, this guy's going to start. He's like the safety. And it turned out to be true. He had a pick six fucking first game of the year in Arrowhead. Like, oh, okay, this guy's like actually really good. So we'll see. But early so far, the ones I saw, one really got me jazzed. Not J-Mo, Jack Campbell. Aaron Glenn, first thing you want to say comes up there. Jack Campbell is looking like a Mike linebacker, guys. He's a grown man now, and that just gets me jazzed because I'm a Jack Campbell guy. If there's no fans left of Jack Campbell in the world, then I died, because I will always ride for Jack Campbell. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I would say, if Jack Campbell can stay on the field, play a little bit more minutes than he did at the start of the year, I think it's only better. If you like, I'm not saying what we're going to do, but it's a passing league, more athletic. I saw like one of the Instagram accounts that I followed. I think they're pretty good sources. They did like their projected starting lineup for the Lions, and they left off Branch from the list because he's like that nickel third safety. I was like, well, this is just ridiculous. This is stupid. But like, if you have two linebackers and more athletes out there, because we gain a little bit of depth at the cornerback position, I think the team defense can only get better, and we're hoping it gets better. But just like we've said the last couple of years, you need more athletes on the field, and you need guys that can run sideline to sideline. And not forget, we do have DJ Reader, which I still forget about it. Every single time I see his name on the lines, I was like, fuck, I forgot we signed him.
Yeah.
I just forget.
Guess who else we have, Evan? I bet you forgot we had him. James Houston.
Yes, we do. Houston, we have a problem. He's going to be nasty.
I can't wait till the Lions sign Kenny Wilkes off of the Panthers.
Yeah.
Every weekend I see he has like 2 or 3 sacks. I know it's whatever it's called, XFL or whatever. I don't even know what the name of it's called, but
yeah.
Yes. I was like, I can't wait for the Lions to sign him, and then I can just back my freaking truck right into Kenny Wilkes is better than Aiden Hutchinson.
Speaking of the Lions, it might give it away based on the player I just talked about. There's a trivia question in our lives that will be fun to look back on in like 30 years. Do you guys know who had the interception for us in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers? Because I saw the highlights, I think, through Inside the Den the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that guy had an interception in the conference championship game.
Wasn't it Jack Campbell?
No,
wasn't it? It was Anzalone, wasn't it?
No, but same position.
Derek Barnes? No.
Oh, no, it was Rodrigo.
Yeah, Rodrigo had a pick in the NFC Championship game. Special teamer for most of the year. He just gets an interception in the NFC Championship game. And he was kind of like looking like he might crib it for a little bit. He had some grass in front of him.
Yeah, he looked like Waterboy when he stood up and started running.
Yes.
Like, that's what he looked like.
Yeah.
He didn't look,
hold on to the ball.
Like
One
he
arm
should have the ball in his hands.
Yeah. The other guy, J-Mo, obviously, he's wide receiver 2 on the team now. And it's a huge year for him, year 3. I know in the chat you're talking about, he'd have to get paid if he does a good job. For now, all we can go off is what the coaches are saying. Dan dropped the line, most improved that he's seen everywhere. He's a man on a mission. I saw some other beat reporters saying, like, in past years, you'd see J-Mo like kind of goofing off, or like if he caught a long pass, doing dances in practice, and they just said no, he just catches it, gets back up, goes to the huddle, talks with Amon-Ra between routes, like talking with his coaches. I'm like, oh my God, I just drink all the Kool-Aid of that. Like, if this kid matures and everything, are you guys willing to let yourself go there right now? Or are you still going to guard yourself? Because with JMO, you just never know.
I'm gonna fully guard myself.
Okay.
I need the training wheels to be let off the first 2 or 3 weeks. I need it. This is not. He's coming off a suspension to start the year last year too.
Yep.
And then a hamstring injury, battle of bumps and bruises, and then every single week they got asked the same question: when's JMO? Oh, he's almost there, or whatever. He's not 100%, or he doesn't have the full playbook or whatnot. But I'm going to say guard until I see him out there for, I don't know what percentage of snaps. We do run 2 tight end formations a lot, 60% of the snaps. I don't know. But anytime he's at practice and he comes back and he's talking to Amon-Ra about route tree, then I'm in for that. Because Amon-Ra's top 5 wide receiver in the league and should be aligned for the rest of his life. So anytime you pick up something from him and you're learning from a veteran, fantastic.
I think I need to see him run out of the tunnel week 1 before I get too excited, because there's
True.
a lot of we have 4 more months left until NFL football, and you never know what could happen between then.
Knock on wood.
Another scandal like we did last year, but knock on wood, he doesn't get he's a speed guy, he is prone to hamstring injuries, so you really never know. I think the NFC Championship game was a really good sign of kind of where he was at, and ultimately taking that step to be the number 2 guy. And it was cool to see him be more of a red zone threat rather than just a 50-yard trick play, gadget play, bomb guy. But I was also thinking how good do we really need him to be, given we have a top 5 wide receiver in Amon-Ra, we have a top 3 tight end in Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. It's a really big bonus. I think we need JMO to be at his best to win the Super Bowl, but he doesn't really need to play where we drafted him at, which is unfortunately kind of the bar that the fan base is going to measure him on.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think his field stretching, I think that's one of the things, when you watch and you hear the Brian Baldingers of the world break it down on Twitter, you're not really realizing how big of an impact it makes until you see it drawn up by someone that knows X's and O's better. So he's always going to have that. If he could give us a couple more splash plays, those big chunk plays that help us turn 3-point wins into 7-point wins, kind of like the Bucks game, where make the play that gives us some breathing room. That would be really successful. And I guess overall just more reliable, maybe catch a couple slants, some crossing routes that you can kind of run for a while, where it's not always Jared's got to hit him 40 yards downfield or nothing type receiver. Just a little bit more consistency in all assets of this game.
I really hope he can take some of those Josh Reynolds third and 6, 3rd and 8 possession balls, because I think that's something we're really going to miss. I know Amon-Ra shines there, but given how much we ran those plays with Amon-Ra and Laporta, it seems like something that the NFL defenses are going to be a little more ready for this year. I trust Ben Johnson, but I know Josh Reynolds left a horrible taste in our mouth, but he did make a lot of huge catches throughout the year to get us to where we were. So I'm hoping JMO can add some of that to his game, which it sounds like he has. So
yeah, it's too early to tell, but I didn't realize till Alex said on the show that we got Traquan Smith, so that kind of piques my interest for that potential Josh Reynolds role. But then also, I know you guys might scoff at it. I saw someone tweet out, I forgot. DPJ has an 800-yard season in the NFL, which isn't nothing. So that I was like, okay, if you can get 800 yards on the Browns, we could do 650, 700 for the Lions and a Ben Johnson offense. So as long as he just has possession catches, that's all we need.
Doesn't it sound like we're going to split out Jahmyr more this year too? At least from what Brad Holmes has said, it sounds like we're going to use him more as how we talked going into the year last year, but which I think would be really awesome to see. Yeah,
I'm down for it as long as people always say that in the offseason, you never know till you see it, but as long as they can do it in a way that works, I'm all for it. He's awesome when he has the ball in his hands.
Agreed.
The last thing that I read, there are 2 things. Dan just quote machine, football guy machine. They were talking about Super Bowl or bust, and he said, I don't see bust, I see Super Bowl. Come on. I'm ready to run through a brick wall in May when he's at the podium talking like that. And then They said Broderick Martin, classic second-year guy, slimmed down. He's in football playing shape, so that's good to see because I don't know why, but I just have high hopes for that kid.
I mean, I like, but like, will he play? Because we have Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader. Like, it's like where does he fit in that rotation?
And Kaminsky and
that
Davenport.
LSU kid. That's a
Kyle
defensive
Wingo.
tackle. That was like a sixth-round pick that people were kind of happy about.
The kid we signed out of Canada, but he might be more of an edge rusher than British Columbia.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see Davenport. I'm going to have my eye on Davenport reports because he came off the injury with his ankle last year in Minnesota. That was kind of a bust signing for them, but definitely some talent in there. He had like a 9-sack season for Aaron Glenn in New Orleans, but we just got to see like what he looks like in camp. What should we expect from him? All right, I guess we can do Tigers here. Okay, not to be negative, Nancy. I know they did. Okay, yeah, just start. I don't want to doom and gloom us, but yeah,
mine's a little doom and gloom, but
okay.
A lot of people have been ripping the Tigers players, mainly Torkelson and Baez. Rightfully so. I think most statistics would point towards they're not playing good baseball. I guess I'm just questioning. My issue being is a lot of these guys really haven't developed. Torkelson in particular, it seems like he's kind of been. I mean, he had a really good year last year. This year, kind of off to a slow start. Baez his hitting just went horrible. I don't know if that can ever be fixed.
Baez has a .417 batting average with runners in scoring position.
That's what I was gonna say. That was one of my stats. Colt Keith hasn't really panned out after we gave him that huge contract.
Yeah, he just hit his first home run.
Why is nobody looking at the hitting staff that we put together? The Tigers have 3 hitting coaches. That's not a very I don't know a ton in depth about professional baseball, but I don't think that's super common. And some of the guys don't even have a background in professional, like playing professional baseball. Some of the guys are like more analytics driven, which I hate. I don't think you should be able to be a professional hitting coach if you didn't play professional baseball and you like put your guys and put yourself in their shoes, because there's way too much going on when you're. It's just like golf. Like if you have that much going on in your head. I know to a certain extent you need to know information about the pitchers you're facing, but there's room for analytics in baseball, but I don't think it's in a hitting coach, and I don't think you need 3 perspectives from a hitting coach. I think it's one thing if you have one hitting coach and an assistant, but I think it needs to be consistent across the board, and it seems like there's too much going on in these guys' heads with 3 hitting coaches, and that's something that's been popular. Scott Harris brought it over from the Giants, and I know the Giants had a really good season a couple of years ago, but the Giants, I don't think they're hitting very well right now. I don't think they're a very good team, and it doesn't seem like it's worked out well for the Tigers, which is a little. I think at the end of the day, some of the blame should probably be on Torkelson and guys like Baez, but. I mean, Torkelson's still 24. Like, he's still extremely young. This is his second full season in the pros, and I'll probably defend him to my grave because I think he's a really exciting baseball player, especially when he ropes it. But it's just like there's so much talent on the team. It just doesn't seem like, especially even on the Mudhens, it just doesn't seem like any of these guys that are on the Tigers are developing, and the guys that are on the Mudhens are shining, like Justin Henry Malloy. And I forget the other name. Like those are guys that are hitting really well, but not on the pro team, which is where it matters.
My fix. Can we get Miguel Cabrera? He's out of the game now. Can he just be our hitting coach? He would be awesome.
Doesn't it seem like that would fix everything? Like he already has rapport with the guys in the clubhouse. He's one of the best hitters ever.
Like they're in a slump. You just go party Miguel at some cantina and you come back and your head's right and you're just ready to just step into that box, free swing.
Yeah, I just think there's just too much going on in these guys' heads. You don't need 3 hitting coaches.
I think this team needs to go get shit faced together on the road. I think we just need to. I think there's this pressure. I don't know why. There was a ton of unfair pressure put on Torque. That's the one thing I'll say for the kid. people were so like, why can't he be in the major leagues already? He's an old college first round pick, corner infielder. Like, he doesn't need to develop that much. And now people are like, oh, we called him up too soon. What a mistake. It's like, guys probably had the weight of the franchise on him for like 3 years, and it's been incompetent. So I think they all just need to get like hammered together, do some bonding, relax, and I don't know, just get back to whatever he was doing at Arizona State, free his mind. I know the competition level is different, but there's a good hitter in there somewhere. I know, even if it wasn't like a generational draft, but like there's talent there. I agree with the Mud Hens. I've been a Malloy guy for 2 years. He was my Tiger when we brought him over in some random trade that we did. And I was like, ooh, I like this guy. He looks like a guy that would be on our major league team. The Jace Young kid raking down there as well. And we brought up the Wensil Perez, and he's been a bright spot. So it's like, why are we so worried about the other two? Just give them a chance. It just feels like it's May 28th, and I don't want to say it feels like the summer is over for the baseball team, but I don't know how excited I'm going to be for June and July. I just feel like we're going to fizzle.
They're a 500 baseball team. Like, it's a really good pitching staff, but they're not consistent enough at the plate to where we're gonna have games where we lose 2-0, and we're gonna have games where we win 8-4. Like, it's a really talented, I think, pitching staff that we've assembled.
And to your point,
even the bullpen, which we haven't had like kind of our whole lives, that's kind of been our MO, is we don't have a bullpen.
And to your point, that's the magic of having a good positional coach, where Chris Fetter from day one has turned like average pitchers into like names we start to learn. And you can't tell me it's like all the pitching staff talent. Like, he's definitely done a good job with the people he's been in charge of. Just find Chris Fetter with a baseball bat. Like, find a guy that can do that for hitting.
Like, Reese Olson has a sub-2 ERA, I think. Who saw that coming? Reese Olson wasn't a high guy on the pipeline. We know Tarek Skubal was. We know Casey Mize was pre-injury. We know Matt Manning's a high pick. Nobody had Reese Olson on there. Even Jack Flaherty's pitching really well under the Tigers, which wasn't necessarily the case with the Orioles. So, I don't know. I just think there's – I think I'm not saying AJ Hinch is the problem, but I have issues on like the staff AJ Hinch and Scott Harris have put together. And I think that's kind of a crux right now. I'm not expecting the Tigers to compete for a World Series this year. I think there's a lot of work that Al Avila led us to, but I don't know.
What did I want to say about? There was something I wanted to say about this. Oh, when this happens, where like you're rebuilding a rebuild, we kind of get our timelines all messed up, because when we put more pressure on Scott Harris to fix Avila's mistakes immediately when he does need his runway to fix things how he wants, you're already I've seen some people on like the Tigers Twitter universe, which is a dangerous game to play. They're like, should we think about flipping Skubal at the deadline to replenish like our system, because our pitching staff's been pretty good? You guys may disagree. Be good theater, but like, I'm on the camp like, shut up. Like, let's just keep a generational Cy Young talent, because I'm scarred from the Avila era where we got rid of those people and they went on to play for the Astros and win multiple World Series. So can we keep the generational pitcher we have? Because I enjoy watching him pitch every 5 starts. Okay, so I don't figure it out. I'm not trading Skubal anytime soon.
The only problem I have with it is it feels like we're headed to a point with Skubal where Tarek Skubal is a Scott Boras client. It feels like we're headed to a world where Tarek Skubal gets $300-400 million to pitch for the Tigers. And I don't know about you, but I'm not eating enough pizza to fund that contract. And it doesn't seem like that's a contract that Chris Ilitch is in the business of funding, given a couple years ago, we were kind of in Carlos Correa talks, and we settled for Javi Baez for $160 million.
It was a mistake at the time. Not
that Correa's turned out.
AJ Hinch and Carlos Correa ate breakfast together.
That's right.
Never forget.
but doesn't it just feel like, we're gonna go 2 years down the road, and Skubal's gonna look at the Tigers and go, "You guys can suck." Like,
True.
I'm gonna go sign a $450 million contract with the Mets, and they might stink too, but at least I'm rich. It seems like that's where we're headed.
Yeah. You can sign with any of the big
media markets, Boston,
I'm not
Yankees,
saying
Mets.
But I'm just saying
Dodgers.
we're in a really tough spot to where we're.
Yep, they had lunch
He
together.
was right
they had breakfast
there.
together.
Oh man, he looks
Yeah,
there.
I know he was okay his first year with the Twins. Did he not do well since then? Really?
Well, no, he had that whole scandal to where. So he was fine with the Twins the first year, and then didn't he sign a massive contract with the Mets?
Oh yeah.
And then he failed the physical, and then he went back to the Twins for a fraction of the money. That was his only option, I think.
That sounds
about that.
Was a
vaguely
super messy
correct.
Saga. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that picture, Evan, because I forgot. I remember that we were tracking who was having dinners with who for a week in this shortstop free agency market. And who was the other guy? Corey Seager was a free agent then too, and we couldn't get in on that market. And he's one of the best players there is. Damn. All right, I'm calling an audible. I don't really give a shit about the Pistons right now. I want to get to this Big Ten quarterback list. All right, but I need to find this list.
Quick Pistons thing while you pull that up, Grant.
Yeah, good filler.
You know who's a free agent this year?
Arntellum. He plays for Arntellum.
Hartenstein, your guy. He's a free agent.
That's why I've been on him. I've
bring him to the
been yeah, I'll take that dude. But is his agent Arntellum?
Yeah. Pistons fans will hate it, but we need Malik Monk bad. I think we throw the bad at Malik Monk.
Just a
that
score.
The Pistons. Also, trade Jaden Ivey. That's the camp I'm firmly in. Just let it be.
There would have been a time, dude. Evan, do you remember? I think Wyatt was on this episode. I don't remember why, but I can remember this. It was a trade package for Ivy and a draft pick for Jaylen Brown, and we were like, I don't think I'd give up on Ivy so soon. And now, if you told me that trade, I would be like, give me Jaylen Brown,
please.
You can have Duran and Ivy for Jaylen Brown, just because Jaylen Brown's so good. But yeah, that's one we're not gonna look back on fondly. Okay, I need to figure out how to get to this because I had it in my text. Brad Crawford's Big Ten quarterback rankings. We're about to roast Brad.
Bradley.
I was getting the rainbow wheel of death when I tried to do it through my text.
Tied at halftime. Minnesota and Dallas. And the Panthers scored 2 goals in the second period, unanswered, of course, because we were talking shit about them.
What was messed up was the Timberwolves were only plus 1,000 to win that series, which I would have thought I would need a lot more juice to put money down. So I just thought I'm going to money line bet them until they get it to game 6 and then stop.
Yeah,
if it happens. All right, so here's this list. Have any of you seen this before I click share?
I don't think I have.
I think the one I saw was different. I'm assuming Charles is low.
It's something.
Not as low as you think.
So that's the first 9. He does all 18. Yeah, I think the top 10 is really all I care about, but I'm going to show you the other.
My guy Will Howard up there. I like it.
That is the other. So then you got. It's basically.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Kaliakmanis should be the worst. He was the worst quarterback.
He went to Rutgers?
Play for Minnesota. Yeah. That kid stunk.
I don't know who Jack Lausch is. That I wouldn't pick Jack Lausch out of the lineup. The whole bottom 5, I have no idea who those players are.
Luke Altmaier, I know that name. Didn't he play for Illinois last year?
I think so.
How should we? You guys just want to talk through their list, and then we can say where we would start to throw people.
Yeah.
I'll start us off. I think a number 1's fine. I agree with that.
I think it's number 1 too.
But I think it's 1A and everybody else.
Dylan Gabriel's above, and then
it's not even. There. I don't think it's even close to anybody else.
Especially in that system at Oregon. He's going to light it.
I agree.
Well, in his fairness, this Big Ten is probably one of the worst years for quarterback play.
Yeah.
As of right now, names on you write the names down on the paper, and you're like, well, what we just did, who? What? I mean, there's some talent, but there's a lot of names that you're just not sure of.
Yeah, who's Miller Moss, by the way? Is that a high recruit?
So potentially, but he played in their bowl game and he threw like 6 touchdowns.
Oh, really?
Like he lit up their bowl game, so people got excited about him.
It's a Lincoln Riley offense too. So
I know USC had that 5-star right behind Caleb Williams, and he just entered the portal.
Oh, Malachi Nelson, I think his name was, or something like that.
Yeah.
This is also, again, this is classic May talk when nothing's going on. This is why I love, if you're placing futures for the Big Ten, you're going to have the Ohio State juiced minus. I know it's the first year, but like if you said Oregon was the Big Ten champion in year 1, I wouldn't be like, yeah, that's crazy. They're probably the second favorite in the conference, and they have the best quarterback. So like, I would heavily consider that. If they're plus
Moss looks like an ugly JJ McCarthy.
All right, put him at number 2 then.
He's such a punchable face. Probably a good kid, but punchable.
Oh yeah,
face.
he does. He does look like it hasn't hit puberty. JJ McCarthy. Number 2 is where I don't really know where to go. It's not Drew Aller. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree more with number 2.
I'm putting Will Howard there.
I can do that. I don't love Ohio State, but I can put him there.
Are we sure Drew Aller is even top 6?
No.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Top 6? That is extreme.
I'm not sure.
I don't. I mean,
you want a clip?
Look at the team he plays for. Even if he was elite, playing in that, running out of that tunnel and in those uniforms with James Franklin, I'm just not buying a good quarterback's coming out of there.
James Franklin should be in jail, but yeah.
Yeah. Did you see Evan? You're up, dude. James Franklin.
He might
be saying it for years. Been saying it for years.
Also, phenomenal picture of Dylan Gabriel.
Oh yeah,
he looks like a stud in that photo. Sorry, Cody. Go ahead.
He looks kind of small. We saw it last year with Drew Aller. Like he
so bad.
Play in big games. So why is he 2? At least we saw Will Howard in a Big 12 championship.
And almost came back against Texas.
He beat Max Duggan.
Yeah, I'll give him 2. I'm fine with that.
I mean, Will Rogers was kind of swinging at. I'm kind of shocked Will Rogers is that high, given that Washington lost their coach. Like,
who's Washington's new coach?
So you don't know what Washington's going to look like.
The guy from Arizona, Jed Fish.
Jed Fish.
Oh,
that's probably why. Because Jed Fish he did really good things at Arizona last year.
But... He is two different totally quarterbacks though. He had like a running quarterback at Arizona. Now he is a pass happy quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I don't see how you can have Dylan Gabriel at 6.
There's bad vibes with Will Rogers because when DeBoer left, he entered the portal again, even though he was at the national championship game on the sidelines.
Yeah,
on the bench in a Washington jersey, and then DeBoer left and he entered the portal, and then they heard Jed Fish and he was like, "Okay, fine." So super strange vibes there. Dylan Gabriel, I don't know what you're gonna get there.
This is not sexy at all, but I think Tyler Van Dyke could be top 5. I don't see why he'd be that low. I know he had like he didn't have a great season last year, but he had a better season before then. So if I'm talking about people that have played college football, it's like, oh, he's pretty good.
Freaking, what's his name? Lou Fickell ruined Wisconsin, and they went to a straight freaking one-back spread in 1 year time instead of doing a slower transition into it.
He's ripping the Band-Aid off.
You screwed yourself for immediate success for the first 2 or 3 years.
Van Dyke's a guy that had Heisman like hype prior to last year.
Wasn't he at SMU? Houston? Something like that?
He was at Miami. He's been at Miami.
Oh, that's that kid. Yeah, he stinks. He's not 7.
I haven't seen enough.
Yeah, I would not put him at 7.
I
might put him 5. I'll go opposite Evan.
Orgy. I don't know enough about Orgy, but that feels right. Because he could either be 15 or he could be 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so 8. So you balance that out. 8 feels right.
Big Ten quarterbacks stink. It's basically like who doesn't suck the most is basically what we're trying to make a list at. And Like, I feel comfortable with Gabriel and Howard, and then after that, it's like, all right, who doesn't suck as much as the next guy that we're talking about?
You guys are being humble, and I appreciate you guys for that. I'm sure Alex would be more aggressive, but I'll be a Spartan slap. I agree with Jimmy Mullen's comment. I don't see how Aiden Childs can't be top 5 on this make pretend preseason list. Like, he looks sick. First of all, he passes my eye test. 2, he is not on a new coach because he was with that coach. Same offense, and he played last year, like at least a decent amount. For him to be below Raiola makes no sense. For him to be below Orji right now makes no sense.
For him to be below Will Rogers makes no sense to me.
If you want a clip too, I would take Aiden Childs over Drew Aller as my day 1 starter if I was coaching. I would have more fun for sure. I mean, we're biased, but like, come on. Like, purposes. I know what Drew Aller can give me. I know what he can. I think Child's ceiling is way more exciting.
Now, you can't take too much from spring football, but I went to the Spartan spring game, and I really liked what I saw of the kid. I know I'm a Spartan slappy, so because it's like the first real quarterback we've had in a couple of years. Since kind of really.
Painful. You're welcome.
I mean, Aiden Childs so much for that. He's like cut from the right cloth. He high-fived every member on the team in stretching lines. He went over and shook the ref's hands. Only player to do that.
You didn't see Aller do that at his spring game.
Yeah, didn't see that. But I think the only thing that's going to hold Aiden Childs back is the question mark that you're getting at receiver for the Spartans, because it's a lot of we don't really have an alpha dog. There could be one that emerges. It seems like whenever Michigan State's played at their best, you've always had a guy play leagues better than you thought.
He's 18 years old. Holy
And the other problem is, like, with a spring game is that, and given the amount of snaps he got at Oregon State, is we never have really seen his legs in collegiate action. In the spring game, they didn't really let him, like, he wasn't really live. They kind of shied away from him running it. So he threw like a lot of just stupid passes in a double coverage because it was a spring game, which looked kind of bad, but he also threw some of the most beautiful balls I've ever seen in person, besides CJ Stroud. So I think he's better than Orji. I don't know if that's like Michigan bias there. I think he's definitely better than Orji. I think he's better than Tyler Van Dyke. We've seen what Tyler Van Dyke looks like, and who's Tyler Van Dyke throwing to at Wisconsin? Does anybody know one of his wide receivers?
Tyrell Henry.
People forget. Oh wow.
Too soon.
Yeah.
That hurts. That's too soon. But I mean, Raiola, like how many more times are we going to do this stupid Nebraska game? I'm so sick of it.
It's true.
I don't know.
Let me look at Drew Eller's stats just so. I looked at Childs. It's not, I mean, the sample size is just small, but I like if I'm projecting a full season. He's played in 9 games in college football, 69% completion percentage. Nice. Only 300 yards, but 4 touchdowns, no picks. I mean,
just looking at it,
he hasn't had the chance to make a ton of mistakes, but he hasn't made mistakes. So I like that. You look at Aller playing a full season. He had
I would go Gabriel, 50, Howard, Miller, Moss, Childs, top 4. Just because Miller, Moss, and Lincoln Riley's system is going to outshine everyone.
I'll give Aller credit. He only threw 2 picks last year, but he's also not throwing a ton. He only had 2,631 yards with a 60% completion percentage. So, yeah, I don't know. Miller Moss could be a baller. That's a name that you remember. Like, that's a good name. Miller Moss. What did he do? I'm looking at 70%, 7 touchdowns, 1 pick. Yeah, he could probably sling it.
7 touchdowns. Yeah.
So I'd go Gabriel, Howard. I bump Moss up. He can be 3.
Grant, do you think there's going to be...
Would I sneak Childs in at 4? Sneak Childs in at 4?
Do you think there's going to be QB drama at Michigan at any point this season?
Oh, spicy.
Between Orji
I think
and Jaden Davis?
I don't think it'll be Orji. I think it'll be... I don't think it'll be Davis. It'll be... Kid's actually got a really crazy story. The Davis Warren is like the 1B right now. I think they're battling it out in camp. He was a walk-on, and he had cancer in his life, and I think that like affected his eligibility status, and he's like just grinded his way back and stayed at the program, and now it's like he's always been good in spring games. He was good last spring as well, and people were like, "Oh, Davis Warren could actually be the backup." That's when Cade was still there, but what?
You can clip this when it happens later this year. Orgy's going to get injured the week before Ohio State. Davis Warren's going to come in and beat Ohio State.
Wow.
There you go. That story screams like that.
Yeah. Gus Johnson, this young man had cancer. He's out here on the biggest stage. I think, though, for this quarterback rankings, it's too hard. But I think Michigan might go like the whole 2 quarterback. You don't really have 1 quarterback system. Because they did it a little bit last year. Yeah, they did a couple of years ago. They've done it before. They sprinkled in McCarthy with Cade, and they sprinkled in Orgy towards the end last year with JJ. And I just can't imagine they don't let both of them play, at least in the beginning of the year. I don't know. I don't know what that split looks like right now, but if you were doing a ranking, I would say it'd be Orgy/Warren. And I'd be fine if they were 8. I would just have, I would have Raiola below Michigan's quarterbacks for now, just because I'm biased. But then again, never seen Michigan's quarterbacks really play. I've seen Orgy keep the ball in big games and run for 10 yards. So I know he can do that, but I don't know anything else.
It just kind of feels like everybody besides Gabriel and Howard, it's like, how good are their weapons going to be? Because that's going to elevate a college quarterback. And if you don't have guys that can create separation and you're not a very good system, then you're going to be a pretty shitty quarterback. And I think the reason why these 9 quarterbacks are on this rankings list, on this first page at least, is because these are probably the best systems offensively in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy you say that, because that was the point I was thinking of when Evan made his Peyton Thorne point. Like, you kind of forget Michigan State's just been pumping out really good receivers. It's a little bit probably different this year on paper for Childs, which you mentioned, Cody. But, like, Thorne got to have the luxury of throwing to Jaden Reed, Keon Coleman. And now even, this is a point I wanted to, I don't know if it's sank in for you guys yet, because I've been seeing a little bit of, like, the new look Alabama. Are we mentally prepared for Jeremy Bernard to be, like, the number one option on a Kalen DeBoer Alabama team? Because that's a wild, like, we've come a long way. People would be like, oh yeah, he played at Michigan State back in the day. Like,
never forget
that kid's been around a long time.
Western Michigan.
Yeah, he's going to be number 1 for them going into like the fall, which is nuts.
Yeah, that's gonna. I mean,
yeah, you guys are a factory of receivers.
I'm upset he brought it up. Yeah, I don't know. It's really going to hurt to see like Jaden Reed this year, and then Keon Coleman on the Bills, and then Jeremy Bernard as the number 1 option on an SEC football team, especially Alabama. Just look back and think Mel Tucker and Peyton Thorne are what held us back. Sorry.
Whoa. Mel Tucker and Jay Johnson's what held us back.
Okay. I'll concede that point. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Tyrell Henry's going to be catching touchdowns from TVD in Wisconsin. I mean, it's just going to be disgusting.
But we do have Nick Marsh. That's going to be exciting. Antonio Gates Jr. came back. Montori Foster. That seems like the guy that could take a leap.
No Malik Carr, right?
No. God, he transferred to a really random school. Like
Old Dominion?
Or something.
Houston?
Oh yeah, it's Houston.
Oh,
UNLV,
with Alex.
something like that.
We do have Jack Vellening. He transferred with Childs from Oregon State. He's like an elite tight end. So
yeah,
I'm assuming that'll probably be the target. But which Dylan Tatum almost like took him out for the season at the spring game. He just came down and hit him like 5 seconds early.
Jesus.
So
the inside scoop. And this is, no scientific, but this is what, this show is about. Michigan State feels like your tight end room is where it needs to be with a goony ass white tight end. Like that's the Michigan State teams that I remember growing up that were a pain in the ass. And I think that's what you guys need to get back to. And I just pulled up this kid's face, and this is like a Michigan State tight end. This Jack Velling kid, actually, I might slot him in for like an all Big Ten nomination after seeing this photo of this kid. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
Looks like Paul
that
Van.
is like, that's a dude that's just going to be a nightmare for other teams.
He's got a little Laporta to him. This is a goofy white kid.
Yeah. I mean, he looks sick. Look at this.
It's gonna be him and AJ Barnhart, two horse race for all Big Ten.
From Michigan, he's gone, Cody.
Oh, he left. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
he's pro bound. Well, this is a
Wolverine
blurry picture, but like he just looks like a prom. Colston Loveland. We got.
That's who I was thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah,
that kid's a dog.
That kid is.
I think he's gonna be a first round pick.
Could be. Okay. We'll close it out here, but that's my one fear for Wolverine Grant is I feel like this Michigan team's gonna like be flashy on paper with like first round talent. I just don't know how deep we are, and I don't want to be like the Buckeyes in Ohio State. That's what they always do the last few years. They have that flash at the top of the draft, but they don't have the depth, and they get exposed and they don't win the Big Ten. I feel like that could be what this year's Michigan team looks like on paper, where it's like Will Johnson, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Colston Loveland. Oh my God, look at the first round picks. Are we going to win the draft or are we going to win the Big Ten? Because I only give about the Big Ten. I don't care about the draft.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Ohio State, they like to win. Ohio State wins the draft with their receivers, Garrett Wilson, Olave. Who could have stopped this wide receiver room? Cade McNamara could.
We are 3.5 months out from college football. Grant is locked in. What are you doing to beat Ohio State today?
No, I've already accepted it's going to be like 8-4 season.
You hate to hear that. Hey, we just got to win 4 games, Evan, and we beat Vegas. Win totals.
I'm down for it
right now.
For any Michigan fans listening, please don't jump on me.
Don't jump on me.
I can talk myself into 10-2 by time kickoff comes. Why not us? So much ways to go for college football, but I'm not mentally prepared for all the new matchups we're going to have this year. It's going to be nuts. Ohio State at Oregon is going to be awesome, though, in like the beginning half of the year. That's going to be juicy.
Michigan State at Oregon on a Friday night.
Oh,
they try to slip that in.
Cinema.
Aiden Childs heads back to the state that raised him.
Oh, God. Write the storylines now, Grant. Trademark it.
Yeah, because Oregon State fans hate you guys. But if you beat Oregon, are they going to be happy for you?
Have to be.
Have to be. Or do they hate you now more than Oregon?
Well, they don't have a conference, so they can...
Yeah, they just hate the Big 12. I don't know why you hate us.
Boom.
All
right.
They killed Bill Walton, so it's not our fault.
They did kill Bill Walton.
That was crazy timing that the last game of the conference happened and then RIP passed away.
This isn't my podcast, but I'm going to dedicate this episode to Bill Walton in his memory.
Yeah. Cheers to close it out to Bill Walton.
Cheers.
A legend in his own way.